I'm telling you right now, get you an anime that lets your lovebirds to be fight with swords, and said fight with the king to be carrying her off as a princess with these adorable questions, to then finishing the night with said princess nurturing him like a mother, to then having this romantic bonding moment that really doesn't go that intense. But I think because it's so emotional and personal, it hits harder than a big kiss or honestly, like we've had the kiss moment 2, 3 episodes back, give or take. But I feel like that scene with them in the bed and just how like personal it was, it feels like bigger development than even that initial kiss. And I'm just loving Seventh Time Loop. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping that this show will do so well enough that, because really the anime industry follows trends, like stuff that gets popular, like if an SAO blows up, a lot of anime production communities are going to start funding things that are similar in essence to an SAO. It's just how the business works. I don't expect this show to blow up to the same degree as something like that, but man, I would love to see more Otome game style animes rather than just adapting the visual novel Otome games. Do stuff that has like the Otome game style formula, like do-overs and understanding past lives and loops, but do stuff like a Seventh Time Loop. It's way more interesting if I'm being honest. Not to say that there aren't good Otome game based ones. Hell, literally one of the shows I'm talking about this season is based off an Otome game. But there's a reason why I put this show above that one or pretty much any other Otome game style anime, because it's just so fresh and different, and I love it. But I have a full live reaction to this week's episode of Seventh Time Loop over on my Patreon. If you want to see my full link of thoughts, they're over there if you're interested. Arnold and Risha, man, I'm liking these two, and still I'm shook that Theodore actually turned out to be a good dude. I mean, it seems like Theodore will be around as a relevant side character. It was kind of a little up in the air based on how they ended last week, if he was going to kind of like leave the kingdom area and he was going to be more working in the slums and we'd only see him when we went there. But no, it seems like he does his office work at the castle, so he should remain to be relevant, and now that we know he's not a D-bag, it's fine that he's around. But I like the idea of how they're building up these two's relationship, because we have to remember, this is a girl that has 6 lives and now her 7th life worth of memories and experience. So it's not just like, oh, you know, I lived for 10 years and I kind of know a couple things. Like, she literally is 7 people in one. It's 7 of hers all in one, but it's still 7 unique identities. So of course she has like the fear of knowing where someone like Arnold can go, but most importantly, she also knows some of his moves and stuff. And while this is a weaker version of himself, like this is 5 years less of experience, the idea that as they're fighting and dueling, so he has more limitations than her. They both have a hand behind their back tied behind. His leg is also a little more restricted, and also he has an eye patch on, so he's limited visually and he can only use one arm. And she puts up a hell of a fight. I didn't think she was gonna win. There's a couple of times where I was flip-flopping, like maybe she would. And no, like he's absolutely in a different league of where she's at, but she is talented. No one can deny that. She put up one hell of a fight, and the idea that as the battle is kind of approaching the end, she notices and remembers things that literally killed her and killed other people in that one loop, and she's able to avoid that. And I like how he points out the fact that he's actually jealous. It's funny because he's jealous of himself basically without realizing it. She's saying, "You are without a single doubt in my mind the most powerful person I've ever met, the most skilled, the strongest, whatever." And he's like, "Who's the guy?" Because I'm a little jealous, but the fact that you're clearly envisioning someone else as fighting me, it's kind of like, are you thinking about someone else in bed while you're with me? It's just funny. It's wholesome, it's funny, it's just silly, all mixed into one. But I love the fact that they let her be defeated without making her come across as weak and helpless, right? No, he's just literally built different. We knew that since he cut down, what, a dozen people in that one loop? Like at the start of episode 1, he cut down like a good dozen soldiers. I mean, it's clear he was a one-man walking army. And I like the idea that after it's all said and done, she's like so, her hands, her arms, her legs shaking, she can't move, she needs to rest up. And just watching him carry her throughout, the guards are just baffled because they've probably never seen their boy do this. I mean, it's like, okay, we thought he was a lot more cold and emotionless, and then here he is being a perfect gentleman. The maids in the background blushing and just squeeing in the background, and the idea of just asking these simple questions. He's saying in 2 days we're going into the market, don't know where we're going. Honestly, at first, based on the title of this episode, I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to show the mother's grave because we know his mom's dead or whatever. But it seemed more to do with the whole bedroom scene and everything like that. But I like the fact that she's asking all these basic questions like, oh, like, what's your favorite hobby? What type of girls you like? It's just, it's so stupid and sweet, and that's what makes it perfect. Like, have that cute innocence that like people have at the start of a relationship. And it's funny because it's not like she's just immediately flipping, because they've been together for 3 weeks or something like that since she arrived here, is what they said in the episode. So she's had plenty of time to see so many different things that she thought she knew about this man completely flipped on its head. And I love seeing that, because when you have that bedroom scene, right, because her maids completely changed something that was run down, beaten down, and now he has a room to properly rest, because you know a guy like him, he gonna be staying up all night, he gonna be a grumps, he's gonna be working himself to the bone, and he's not gonna get the proper rest. Now he easily can. I'm not really sure how much this thing's gonna work out. I mean, if you want to relax me, touch my hair, touch my back, I don't know. She says it works. Apparently it worked in one of her previous lives. I'll give her that. And just the idea that she's trying to make him fall asleep and then ultimately she ends up falling asleep. It's just, I love these two because it feels like such a natural couple. And the fact that when you consider what she knows about what he can become and how quickly she's opened up to him. I mean, the fact that, talk about lewd. You can touch my neck, I touched yours. I mean, we might as well be married at this point if I'm being honest. But seriously, it's just so sweet to see how they're writing these two, because you just want to root for them, but most importantly, you start to really question what happened to our boy. Because all we really know about apparently the whole situation of him kind of going off the deep end, big wars, is that he killed his father, is what they're saying. We rewind when we first met Theodore. Theodore says he killed his mother. It ain't looking good, but as I've said multiple times, I don't believe it's that clear cut. It's because there's a couple of things you have to keep in mind with the Theodore situation. When Theodore told Risha that Arnold killed his mother, he specified it as killed his mother rather than killed our mother. So that most likely means they have different mothers. If that's the case, it's probably childbirth related death. I don't think our boy stabbed his mom in the throat or anything like that. It was probably died through childbirth. And if not, I imagine there's some justifiable reason. And if not, I'll be shocked, but we'll see where it goes. And the idea of him killing his father in these different loops, right? Mad King route? Was the king just doing some bad shit? He had no choice? Was he framed? Originally, I thought Theodore framed him, but now we know Theodore probably always killed himself in all these loops, and that probably did turn him mad. So if that's the case, let's just say he actually did willingly kill a good man, a good king. Was that because his brother killed himself or did something like that and it just drove him off the deep end? He was so determined to do things a certain way to make the country great. His father didn't see it, so he thought he had no choice. It is possible he did murder straight up to his dad, and that caused him to do a lot of bad things. But we've changed so much, so subtly, that we probably have avoided that at this point. Now, she's obviously going to still be worried about that, but the king stuff's going to be very interesting, and I think the way he's opening up and how sensitive he is to her feelings and restrictions, he's such a gentleman while also being so awkward about it, and I love how awkward both of these two are, and just how perfect they feel together. I really didn't expect to like this show as much as I am, and even when it's not absolutely crazy with shocking twists and turns, the development between these two is top tier. So let me know what you thought of this week's episode of 7 Time Loop down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're around here, of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more. And like I mentioned, we have a full live reaction over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out like One Up Annie, Wade Smith, Vasuva Granada, Gabby G, Attack Owl, and Loken are getting today, so I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.